There's absolutely some dogs that prefer to sniff, and the environment sniffing is more reinforcing to them. But if your dog does like taking treats, but just not outside of the home, then we need to address that first. So there can be a number of reasons why the dogs aren't taking food. Is the reinforcer valuable enough? So if you're bringing their everyday kibble that they'll be getting in their bowl at home, no, they're not going to want to work for that when they're outside of the house. We need to look at it as a pay. If you're being paid for a job that's difficult for you, you want to be paid well. So if we're asking dogs to face their fears and to build their confidence, or to disengage from something that they find frustrating or they want to access, we need to bring out the good, yummy stuff. If your dog's used to normally having the Prime 100 every day, that might not cut it for training, but then they might, like Sophie, if you bring a biscuit or something she doesn't normally have, she'll think that's really interesting. But just remember, it's for training, so you can use naughty food. If your dog's really struggling, a bit of cheese for training is fine. When our dogs can't eat and they're really stressed, their sympathetic nervous system is activated. Everything goes to their vital organs, so their digestive system shuts down, so they're not going to eat, but they're ready for action and they're just hyper vigilant. They're not going to want to take food. If this happens in our sessions, I will try my best to find out what gets them out of their shell, or I can help relax them. So it might be finding a quiet place, or it might be play. If I can't get to that point, then we need to reevaluate where we're going to do our training. So that might even be at home. For the parents to be sitting just outside the house in the driveway, hand feeding them, or in the garden, and then building on that. We could even suggest that the dogs come to the location that we're going to be training them in prior to training, to have a little sniff and get a feel of it. Because if the dogs are coming and they're really stressed, I don't want them to feel like that. So sometimes we have to come to the resolution that environment just isn't going to work. So we can start off with either coming to my home, or some dogs don't cope in an urban environment with the sound of cars and people and bikes and traffic, just all the noises that come with living in a suburban environment. It might be that we go out to a bushy location, and there they want to play and they can take food and they start to relax a little bit. Specifically the herding breeds, I find that they do a lot better down a narrow pathway with bush either side, so they don't have to be hyper-vigilant of the environment and can just look in front of them and deal with what's in front of them. And then we start to see that, no, they can take food. It was just that they were too stressed or too distracted, or the food wasn't good enough. For those dogs who do prefer to sniff, then we just do things a little bit different, where we have more distance, and if they can relax, and I can see that they're sniffing because they're enjoying the smells and not using the sniffing as a displacement coping strategy, then we'll slowly decrease distance. If they're able to disengage and continue sniffing, we'll continue with that. And we do still try and feed them and give them play and praise, and if they like, some dogs like tactile affection and pats and whatever the dog enjoys, we'll try and figure out what that is. But if they do prefer to sniff, we'll just work on that distance, and if they can't disengage, we increase the distance. Hopefully that helps you understand why some dogs don't eat out in public.